Yes, it is. All good? All right. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Penultimate place to get your video game news and reviews. This is episode 81 of the Penultimate Game Show. And today's topic is our Sony PlayStation State of the Union. I was about to say State of Play for 2024 so far. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast servers, feel free to give us a good rating on that platform. It helps us with the algorithms and helps us grow our audience. If you're watching this on Twitch, consider following us and dropping us a sub, please. If you have Amazon Prime, you have Prime Gaming? Is that what it's called now? I think so. Yeah, if you have Prime Gaming, which means you have one free sub to give out, and we would love it if you gave it to us. For those of you watching on YouTube, consider dropping a like and a sub, and please do not forget to hit that bell to get notifications for when we go live with all of our shows, like the Marvel Mondays Initiative, the Cross Media Show, and Animation. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ruben, the director of this channel, and of course I have with me the man who knows everything about JRPGs and fighting games, John Rivera. John, how are we doing today?
We're doing pretty good. I'm excited to talk PlayStation. I thought there's some cool things in this show.
Yeah, I thought so too. We are just discussing, recapping the state of play, and also just talking thoughts of what we think about PlayStation. A little bit of housekeeping. We are doing a lot of stuff for Key 3 happening next week. Crazy to think about. This Friday. Summer Game Fest starts this Friday. So we will be live reacting to it. I don't know who's joining me, but I will be live reacting to it. So with that being said, please tune in to see what Keeley has in store for us today. Well, this year, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And of course we have the Xbox showcase happening on Sunday, along with a bunch of other things. Regardless of what's happening this weekend coming up, we will be live reacting. How about that? Let's just keep it that way. That way everybody knows. So, as always, please feel free to leave us a call or a voicemail, probably better. Leave us a voicemail, and to leave us a voicemail, call 646-801-0230. Leave your thoughts and questions, and we'll probably answer them if we have time. With that being said, John, how's it going, buddy?
It's going pretty good.
Yeah.
I fixed my Switch and I've been able to play it again. So I got Mario RPG first time going through any Mario RPGs. I've never really played Paper Mario or Mario and Luigi before, so I'm excited to start with the first one.
Okay, all right. I am more of a Paper Mario guy myself, but that is just me. I tried going through Mario RPG. I couldn't do it. I quit within the first maybe 15-20 minutes.
Interesting.
Yeah, it just wasn't for me.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of fans of it, but I think most of what I've heard is that like Thousand Year Door is like the apex of Mario RPGs. Paper Mario is like right under it, and Super Mario RPG, there's like a lot of nostalgia for it, but it's like coming into it brand new isn't so hot as compared to the other games.
Yeah, I have only played Paper Mario for the N64, and I played that a couple years ago, and it was just a great time. Like
That's
it's
what I've
so
heard. That's what I've heard.
yeah, it's so weird to see like the Paper Mario series having such drastic differences from regular Mario. Like the Koopas and the Goombas are your enemies in the regular Mario games,
Hmm.
and in these Paper Mario games, you just
Yeah.
become your friends. Crazy.
Yeah. That's what I heard a lot of people of Thousand Year Door is it goes kind even further in there where there's just like a lot there's like a revolutionary angle of like a handful of Koopas and Goombas being like, you know what, Bowser sucks. I'm gonna join you guys. You guys are way cooler.
Yeah,
So
which is pretty cool. I like that.
and then I hear it like tapers off after Thousand Year Door, unfortunately.
That I'm not too sure of. I haven't played. Like I said, I'm starting to
Mhm.
play Thousand Year Door now, and the only other Paper Mario I've played. But the Mario and Luigi games, fantastic.
Yeah.
So if you don't know
I'm
what that is,
gonna this is gonna get derailed by any like big games that come out that catch my attention, but I will definitely finish Mario RPG this year at some point, and then eventually as I have time go through Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, and I intend to go into Superstar Saga on the NSO collection,
yeah.
and then we'll see where we go from there.
Well, all right then. Speaking of which, have you played anything? What have you been playing recently? Before we
Um,
get into the,
since I finished Rebirth last time we talked, I mostly just been jumping back into Persona 3 Reload. 'Cause that game takes forever, but I'm slowly chipping away at it. I'm about to beat like one of the last big monsters because they like established that there's like 12 big um not mementos Tartarus monsters.
Mhm.
Um but I'm assuming things are gonna get messed up because I'm 63% through the game according to the PS5 thing
Okay.
measure icon. But I mostly just been playing that, and then trying to chip away at the optional stuff that I have in Elden Ring, kind of get familiar with the mechanics again before the DLC next month, and then Mario RPG, like I mentioned.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I already mentioned it before, but I just started Thousand Year Door, and I've also just been nostalgic for Pokemon games, so I'm playing Fire
Okay.
Red on the side and also Soul Silver
Nice.
and
I have
Phantom.
a Soul Silver is like the newest. Well, I guess I played a bit of Sword, but like I skipped the original Silver and Gold because like
Hmm.
I didn't have a Game Boy Color for very long by the time Ruby and Sapphire was out.
Hmm.
So like I'm like halfway or like I think I'm at like the sixth dungeon in Soul Silver, but I haven't picked it up in years. But
All right then,
I want to get further.
you should. Great game. It's honestly, it's the epitome of Pokemon
That's
games.
what I've heard.
Yeah, that's got to be the best Pokemon game I've ever played, just because of 16 badges. Like that's nobody's
Yeah,
ever been. I mean, no, not nobody, but they haven't done that
done that
again,
again.
which is insane to me.
I've been saying if they wanted to like take a break from like new generations, cool something cool they could really do is do like a conglomeration open world Pokemon where it's like four or five regions like all interconnected like Silver and Gold.
Yeah,
And then there's like no new Pokemon, but like going from region to region, you can have also a system where like you can take a Meowth and like if you hang out too much in Alola, it turns into like the Goblin Hawaii Meowth or like the different forms for region stuff and like integrate a system of evolution like that.
that would be pretty cool. But let's see if it actually ever happens.
Hmm.
All right, John. Let's get into the state of play.
Yeah,
I
let's.
we didn't get a chance to. I mean, we didn't get a chance to have you on the live reactions. What did you think about it?
Um, it's it's one of those situations where like I feel like if this was a spring or fall um state of play, I think it would be like pretty solid and decent.
Okay.
But because we are in a year like devoid with like big um Sony capital first person or first party games, I feel like that emptiness is really being felt.
Okay.
I thought I would give it like a C, like a 6 out of 10, not because like I particularly hated it or was annoyed by it. There's a chunk in the middle where like you kind of can't keep all the fantasy East Asian inspired titles like together because they're so similar. And that's not an insult to each individual game. I think when you do these, here's a 30-second trailer. All right, next game, here's a 30-second trailer. It's hard to get the specifics of games that don't stand out really easily. Um, but I'm really excited for Astrobot. That
I think everybody
um,
is.
I had a ton of fun with Astrobot Playroom when I played it on my brother's PS5 before I got mine. So I was genuinely surprised at how like it really captures that Nintendo 3D platformer, like Mario Galaxy specifically, because there's not a lot of like openness to the areas,
Right.
but there's neat little side paths and like just really solid platforming. So to get that fleshed out into an entire game is really exciting.
Yeah. I just sent you the scale that we've been using for a couple things, so in case
Ah,
you want to
cool.
check this to see if that lines up with what you're saying. On our scale, the Penultimate Conquest scale, I'm gonna say that this was probably mediocre. Like I think
Yeah.
they spent a little too much time on Concord. Uh, we didn't need that
Mm-hmm.
FMV in the beginning. Like if you had just shown us what the gameplay was, because I know there are a lot of people just saying like, yeah, it's supposed to be Overwatch, but we didn't really see like it looked more like um what's the Valorant, like
Mm.
some stuff like that. Like I feel like if they had shown more gameplay instead of showing us the first FMV that they're going to be showing off, which is apparently going to be a weekly thing, which is insane.
Yeah. We'll see how long that
That
weekly thing lasts, because
yeah.
like I follow like a lot of floor level developers, like not just leads, but like people that are just like, I was a CGI animator on this thing,
Hmm.
and they were like, yeah, that only works for now because they've probably been making those for a couple of years, so they probably have like a bunch of those ready for like the first couple months,
Right.
and they're like, someone just was it Apex or Destiny was like starting with something like that where like every major
I think it was
season they had.
Apex.
Okay, but then like it started with full CG animations, and then
Yeah.
they turned into animatics, and then they turned into 2D like glorified web comics, and then they slowly turned into like text boxes.
Yeah.
Um it's a bold move. We'll see how it goes, Cotton, but I think honestly, so I don't like the I think some people learned the wrong lessons from the Nintendo Direct. So I
Hmm.
don't like how a lot of these shows that show up around E3, formerly E3 time, how they're all focused on just like trailer. I think this would have been a good situation. Yes, it's cringy when people are like, "This is how people talk on microphones." You got that, buddy? Oh, I'm gonna pass it to you.
Yeah.
You up with the? I know that's annoying, but outside of that, it's good to see like how even if it's staged, how a multiplayer match will roll out and how these characters might be unique in like breakdowns from the developer level rather than just watch this guy do a bunch of things on screen and try and like pick out the frames and slow it down.
Yeah.
um, you can do that with like a fighting game or like a crossover event like that. That works for Marvel Rivals because we
Hmm.
know who these characters are and what they
Yeah.
do, and we're excited to see how they're switched up, what makes them unique, or if they're pulling variants from like different comic series that have not been like popularized in animation or movies. But with 100% new IP like Conquered, you're just left wondering, I don't know what these guys do.
Yeah.
What does it mean if this guy's glowing green? Does that mean he's got a health buff, or is that a defense buff or something like that?
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if they allegedly the PS5 Pro is supposed to be coming out later this year, so let's see if they
Hmm.
do a deeper dive on a showcase probably in September. Um,
Hmm.
but it'd be interesting to see like how they continue to show us this game. Hopefully, it's less of the
Yeah.
FMV stuff and more gameplay.
Hmm.
God
Um,
of War. Oh, go ahead.
I will say, my girlfriend was watching this with me because I had to watch it the next day because I was working when it was on. And when they were showing off Concord, she thought the characters were cool. She was getting invested in like the banter, the like Guardians of the Galaxy vibes.
Yep.
And then the second the I think it was like the director was on screen. I was like, Concord is a 5v5 PvP shooter, first person shooter. She was like, oh, okay. And then just like immediately checked out and started looking at her phone. She was like, okay, that's not how I want to play this game.
Yeah, it's just like one. There was only 4 people in that FMV.
Yeah, that's true.
It
And there
was
was a couple guys shown that weren't in the FMV that we like didn't get any barely any idea for how their character roles
yeah, it
work.
was just weird to see like, hey, this is actually a a 5v5. But in
Hmm.
case you didn't know, but we only showed off 4 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it'd be interesting to see how they continue to show us this game
Hmm.
because I'm gonna be real honest with you. I know we saw this game um before for the PlayStation showcase that they did a while back. Couldn't
I do
tell
not
you.
remember it.
Yeah, I don't remember it at all.
I remember the fact that I think we've seen Conquered before. I don't remember what I saw or what it was
Yep,
like.
that's exactly. Yeah, I couldn't tell you what this game
I also
was.
think with their growing focus to put live service games on PC and PlayStation day and date,
Hmm.
I hope they are not expecting a Helldiver situation from Conquered
Well, you
because
know that's
Conquered
exactly what they're gonna
all
expect.
the stuff they're doing is the stuff PC gamers don't like, where they're like, no, I'm not that invested in a story. I want to click into my game and log right in. The hell, ironically, as bad as it made for a trailer at Summer's Games Fest, the Helldivers opening is like the most they want. It's like, here is the premise. Now
Yep.
go do Helldivers things.
Yeah.
I don't think they're like raring to be like, ah, that guy's really about his hot sauce. Oh, so.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's exactly what they're thinking when they're going into this. Like,
Mhm,
this definitely has to show us, like, we need to see the levels of hell divers for with this game because one, it's a pretty big stretch to make this game. Like, we don't know
mhm,
if we have Marvel rivals that we have
mhm,
to compete
mhm.
with. That, funny enough, was in this show in this state of play.
I I feel like they should have been spread further apart.
Yeah,
Like, it really
absolutely.
'cause it's not just that it's, "Oh, yeah, this is Concord is doing this thing, but this has Marvel characters." It's also I feel like they sell Marvel characters so much better than Concord sells its characters.
Yeah,
Like, 'cause, like, my girlfriend likes Overwatch. She's not a big first person shooter multiplayer person, but she likes, uh playing as characters in that world because they have so much personality.
Mhm.
And I think they simultaneously have like too much, like they're like trying so hard to give these guys personality, but they also don't feel you're seeing more we want this guy to be like Peter Quill and not
Yeah.
but with these characters. Like you're just seeing, oh yeah, that's trying to be Peter Quill, but he's a lizard guy and that's it. That guy is trying to be like Drax, but he's a different kind of alien.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's the weakest point. It's not just that it's trying to be a story shooter, it's also not really succeeding. As
Uh,
of this, like, if you compare this to the debut Overwatch trailer where we didn't know who Tracer or Winston were,
mhm.
it sold you on those characters within by the end of the trailer. Like you were like, I like this excited teleporting British lady. I like this scientist Winston that has beast vibes from X-Men, but he still kind of feels like its own thing. And this did not succeed with the characters that they showed us.
Not at all. But there's always, like I said, there's always, let's hope that they can show it off better
Mhm.
next time.
And I will say, I was not one of the Overwatch lovers, but what sold me was the beta, and we are getting a beta in July.
Yeah.
So
So
that's just a couple months away. If it's a fun video game, it's a fun video game.
plus that gives you 3 extra keys. If you pre-order it,
Oh
it gives
yeah.
you 3 extra keys to share with your friends.
Yeah,
That way you have a
so
squad.
only one person has to be convinced to get potentially 3 more people interested.
Which, like I had told Eric before, you can just pre-order it on Amazon and just delete it.
Mhm.
Like,
Oh
you know,
yeah, I forgot.
you don't need to commit to buying this game.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
yep.
never think about that because I don't do multiplayer that often,
hmm
so whenever a game is like, "Pre-order for the beta," I'm like, I'm not gonna pre-order for a game that I'm not sold on," but that Amazon trick is good to know.
Yeah. I mean, don't tell everybody, but
Oh,
just
yeah.
so that they don't, they
Me,
don't, they
you, and
stop
the
it.
internet.
Yeah. Well, it's mostly so that they don't stop it from happening.
Oh, yeah, no, no, I remember Best Buy Gamers Club.
Yeah.
I
Rest in
signed up
peace.
just in time because, like, I think, like, a year, maybe, 7 months after I signed up to that, they were like, "We're stopping this," and someone's like, "You should sign up today because you will get it the longest," and I missed that window by, like, 4 months, so it shut down a little earlier than some people.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Mhm,
The next thing were shown was a PC announcement for God of War Ragnarok, which is good. Congrats,
mhm.
PC players. I know you've been excited to play this game. I don't know if you have been,
Hopefully,
but let's see.
it runs good.
Yeah, and I think it will because
Um
they showed off the Nvidia stuff, the
Mhm.
DLSS, and the rest of the stuff.
Well,
So,
because like, I think, Last of Us, like, the Naughty Dog PlayStation or PC
yeah.
ports have all had issues at launch, and
However,
normally, I'm like, "Hey, PC is hard to develop for." It's not a good look when it's, like, 2 years after your game's been out, or in the case of Last of Us Part 1, a remaster of a PS4, PS3 game.
you're not wrong, but I think the last game that came out, which was Ghost of Tsushima, everybody has
Yeah,
been saying it's been
I've
pretty good.
I've heard no complaints about Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, so let's hope. Fingers crossed.
Mhm,
The next thing we got, I'm also excited that they are like the window is seems to be shrinking for
mhm.
PC releases, so that's
Yeah,
pretty good.
the only thing I'm thinking about is that God of War and Forbidden West are both cross-gen titles. So they're still not PS5 flagship titles, only in the
hmm
sense like obviously they are because they're like Horizon and Kratos are like or God of War are really big Sony things.
Yeah,
I'm just saying I'm a little more suspicious of how Spider-Man 2 when that window will get onto PC because that's like the big PlayStation game.
yeah,
And
well,
it's wholly PlayStation as compared to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, where
yeah.
I'm sure Square Enix is just like, we need this game elsewhere. I'm sorry,
Everybody
Sony,
needs.
we're not making money from this like you are.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, like I think they kind of Square is a different story because like I feel like they
Mhm.
did it to themselves.
It
Like it could have
it's
been.
one.
Go ahead.
I think it's exactly the same situation. Well, not exactly, but it's very much like the Tomb Raider launching on Xbox. That
Yeah,
made a lot of sense in like 2010 when the 360 was selling gangbusters. They're like, yeah, by the time this game comes out, it'll be on the next system. We'll be right there on the big X. And then they flubbed the whole Xbox One launch, and so Square Enix had to stick to deals they signed 3 years ago when the system state of the Xbox was way different, and that ended up biting them in the butt. I feel like Final Fantasy VII is a similar thing where probably like 7 comes out, does really well. They're like, all right, we're gonna make this next one for the next system because it's gonna
hmm
be bigger anyway because of how the setup for this portion of the original game was like. Of course, we're gonna take that Sony money. That'll keep our dev costs down.
yeah,
Um, or the costs we're actually paying like a little lesser since we're
right,
getting Sony money. Then PlayStation comes out in a pandemic. It's selling every copy they can, but they can't manufacture it to demand. And then the economy gets really bad and people don't have the money to buy new systems like they would on other console launches.
Mhm.
So I bet it made sense in like 2019 when they were like getting close to finishing remake and starting like to look at how Rebirth would build up, and they're like, yeah, we'll do it again. But
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I think that
Spider-Man a little more popular than Cloud Strife,
yes,
also. So
absolutely, absolutely. Plus, I think with the new heads of PlayStation, I think
mhm.
we'll see. Hopefully, we'll see PC come
I
closer.
can imagine a world within like the end of the decade where PlayStation is dropping day and date.
Oh wow.
This is like a we'll see how PlayStation 6 turns out, like sales wise and launch wise, but
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
I can imagine like, and I'm saying a full 10 years, like 2020,
Yeah.
2035, 2034. Like we're definitely gonna start seeing that window shrink, and I think um we're like not in a doomer way, but I think we're getting close to like the end of like the concept of consoles as we know it today, and like consoles are just like glorified, not Steam Decks in portability, but like they're branded PCs
Yes.
that are simple
Absolutely.
and easy to use,
Yep.
but like they play everything. And they'll like Microsoft will have their Xbox controllers, Sony will do their evolutions of the DualSense, and they'll have unique functions in that way. But
Hmm.
I think eventually, like obviously you'll still have to buy a game for a system,
Yeah.
but like the concept of like, oh, I can't play this game because it's by Sony, it probably
Sucks.
won't be as dramatic as that.
Yeah, I am interested to see if they will actually put it day and date. Like I think maybe 6 months
Hmm.
is the earliest
Yep.
that they'll
No,
put.
yeah, and this is like this is the way that like crossplay between PlayStation and
Yeah,
PC
yeah, yeah,
like happened for a good couple of years before like everyone was like, no, everything.
yeah.
Like you can play or not Helldiver. You can play Street Fighter 6 on your PS5 and fight someone on Xbox.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
then the next battle can be against someone on PC, and you can crisscross back and forth easily.
Yeah,
That's all I'm thinking.
yeah. I agree. Is there anything in the rest of the showcase besides Astro that caught your eye?
Um, Nothing that I need to go on a huge spiel on. I will say, Dynasty Warriors. It's
Yeah.
like Dynasty Warriors are a dime a dozen. We get a ton of them.
Hmm.
This feels like for the first time, like you can see the power of like next gen gaming, where Warriors has always been like living those giant battles against armies, and now they feel like giant battles against a giant army. Because like
Yep.
on the PS2 and like PS3, it was like this feels like a really good LARP where you got a good chunk of your friends and their friends around. This like has an incredible amount of scale of how many characters are on screen.
Yeah.
Um, to a lesser extent, the Infinity Nikki looks interesting because we don't get very many like huge polished good looking games that are feminine like for women,
Yeah.
and like this seemed like a open world JRPG that was like some games will be like, and you can customize your outfits, and that's like a side thing, but the main thing is the battles. This felt like the complete opposite. This is a game where like you can be a pretty girl with like all of these outfits in a pretty world, and I guess you can fight things sometimes. And
Yeah. Uh,
I thought that was interesting. My girlfriend was really into it. Apparently Nikki is a mobile game that's been around for a while, and
yep.
this is like the big evolution of it for. I think this is actually specific to console.
Yes.
So that's like the we're seeing, um, kind of mobile developers kind of elevating themselves and getting to the point where they can develop for like consoles and PC, which I think is interesting.
Right. And
Um,
if I remember correctly, I think the developers of Stellar Blade were mobile,
yeah.
and this was their first hurrah
Hmm.
into
Yeah, they
consoles.
did Nikkei, which is a shooting game that has like that also like just like Stellar Blade leans into like fan
Yeah.
service and rolling for sexy versions of your waifus.
Yeah.
Um, and then one of the games that there were a couple of them, but like Ballad of Antara,
Mhm.
I thought looked really cool. But that's starting to get into. There was a lot of East Asian, like Chinese, Japanese samurai inspired style games that were kind of hard to tell apart because um we just get a trailer and a title and not really a good feeling for what makes them unique.
Yeah.
I thought it looked very pretty though. The both technically and the art style. There were like monster designs felt unique. Um I think that was the last big one. Uh we had the VR games, which I don't have much to say about.
I don't either.
Okay.
Monster Hunter
Um
Wilds looks very pretty.
yeah.
But
Um
I don't know about you. I'm not a Monster Hunter guy.
I am not either. I like boss fights. I'm not much of a raid boss fight guy. Like,
Yeah.
get your three friends to fight a giant monster to get cool loot to fight a more giant monster. Here's the second one, Where Winds Meet.
Yes.
This is another game that kind of I think both of these are Chinese inspired or maybe developed in China. They didn't really. I think that's a big issue where highlighting the developer and what their background is would have helped make these games feel a little more uh an attachment for what they are than just kind of being like here's a cool trailer.
Well, yeah,
The
kind of like
gameplay
what
looks
they did
cool.
with Stellar Blade.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I think if they because you don't want it to be too long where people are
Yeah.
getting bored. You want it at that
Hmm.
sweet spot, maybe 3 minutes talking to like
Yeah.
letting the developer give them a short
Hmm.
story about themselves, like where they're from,
Yeah,
who.
this is the game we wanted to make. This is
Hmm.
set in this kind of mythology. This is our twist on it. This
Yeah.
is our gameplay focus. Like I think that would do a lot because now I couldn't until I because like I have the Wario 64 feed of like every announcement
Hmm.
chronologically. Without that, I could not have named Ballad of Antara or Where Winds Meet
Yeah.
and like see the difference between them.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're kind of pretty similar in the sense of like
Yeah,
both
and I'm
are
sure
carrying
when
a.
they come out, like this will seem ridiculous, but like it's just it's hard from and this is like I keep saying, I think there's a happy middle ground and that sometimes I want to see a developer describe what their mission statement for the game is. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Um and if they end up being like the exact same game, like, well, why'd you put it both of them
On the
like 3 games apart from each other in the
yeah.
same state of play?
So for me, it's kind of similar, like I had said before, Concord and Marathon. Like in my
Mhm.
head, I confused the shit out of them when we first
Yeah.
saw them, and it's kind of similar to this, where like Where Winds Meet. If you show me a picture of these two games, Where Winds
Mhm.
Meet and Ballad of Antara, I think it was.
Mhm. Yeah.
You show me a picture of these two, I can tell you which one's which.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Like I'm only just now noticing that Where Winds Meet has a gold visual motif, and Ballad of Antara has like a
purple.
purple violet.
Yeah.
Um, but like I only know that because I'm looking at a list of the games with pictures next to them, and
Yep.
I can compare them.
Yes.
I don't think that's a fault of the games themselves. I think it's whoever organized this, and like I said, I think it's good to have developers, and they don't need to do like a giant. Like I know nobody wants the return of 30-minute demos, where like you're watching someone do full stealth sequence, but like say what you will about Call of Duty, that like solid like 2-3 minute gameplay video where they like have someone describing certain moments, but then letting the gameplay speak for itself on others. I think that works.
But even if you don't want to put it in the state of play itself, you could put it
Hmm.
on the PlayStation blog.
Yeah.
Like you could put it. I'm looking at the PlayStation blog right now, where it's giving me the rundown of what showed up in the state of play. You can put the
Hmm.
3 minute clip of the developer talking about what their game is and who they
Hmm.
are in front of the demo and put it up on
Yeah.
YouTube
And then
or trailer.
that'll get clipped out and like spread on
Yeah.
Twitter or social media as well. Because like I can't remember what, but that has happened with some games where like you see it and you go, "Oh, that looks kind of interesting," and then a couple minutes or like an hour or two later, someone's like, "Yo, look at this! They didn't show this in the state of play."
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
So, I think it's time to talk about the most hyped up game from the state of
Are
play.
we not going to talk about Silent Hill 2?
No, unfortunately, we're
Okay,
not.
that's fine.
Okay. I was gonna say, do you have something to
It's
say about it?
I've seen people. I think it's interesting that it's like this is a remake of a big, like, this is a horror gaming icon. Like, a lot of people consider it the epitome of like survival horror of that
Mm-hmm.
era. And people have not been. I think it's failing on both accounts. The people who are huge fans are not feeling it, are very nitpicky, and it doesn't seem like people who like Resident Evil 2 remake was like a big introduction to Resident Evil for people, and Silent Hill 2 remake is not doing that for people. So
No.
that
So,
concerns me.
if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure Konami, right? The Silent Hill
Yeah, Konami
and Bluebird
working
Team.
with Bloober Team. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the thing for me personally, and I don't like horror games at all, but
That's
Bloober
fair.
Team, their last game that they made, everybody did not like. The medium
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
a flop in all intents and
Yeah.
purposes.
That's also what I've heard.
Yeah. So, like, one, yeah, I get it's the Bloober Team, but you have to like make sure that they're on top of their shit, because this
Hmm.
is Konami's Silent Hill 2, like the game
Yeah.
that defined horror, and
Hmm.
essentially. So, like, the trailer that we saw, it didn't look pretty. Like, I kept on
Hmm.
making the joke of the main guy was Ethan Winters from
Yeah.
Resident
Yeah.
Evil.
No, he looking at screenshots and he does. I think the big issue with it is that Silent Hill 2, the original, is a crusty game,
Yeah.
but like that is part of its narrative. Like, it's very rooted in analog technology. You carry a radio around with you everywhere you go.
Mm-hmm.
There's a CRT film or a VHS film filter over the entire game, and that kind of gets thicker when your health goes down. So
Yeah.
like it's intentionally like not supposed to be a like pristine ultra high resolution title
Yeah.
or visual presentation, and then on top of that, um like the people are supposed to look kind of weird
Mm-hmm.
because like it's supposed to feel like a messed up dream horror world, and like they're casting like people that look like video game attractive people
Yeah.
in it. um Visual presentation, and then like I everyone looks like they're in their like late 20s, and in the original game everyone looks like they are in their solid mid 30s.
Yeah.
Like there's one character that dresses up like kind of sexually, it has like a party girl attire to it, and it feels really weird because this looks like a kid who is like, or this looks like a woman who's like just about to clock out of her office job and then go get groceries for the kids, and like
Mm-hmm.
that you're not really seeing that in this game at all. They've kind of like toned down her outfit, and like she looks a little younger. um that's all I wanted to say. I didn't need to make a big thing of it. I just
That's
think,
fine.
honestly, I think the fact that you wanted to skip something is enough and says something about the game.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's also that I'm not the audience for it, so I couldn't
but
really
yeah,
tell you about it. So
but like if Resident Evil 9 was in this state
I
of play,
I, I
you'd say
probably
something. Oh, you
I wouldn't say anything about it. I would just say, like, yeah, Resident Evil 9 was announced and it's
mhm.
coming out, blah blah blah. But like, eh, cool, good for
That's fair. That's fair.
people. Um, let's talk about the
Yeah.
platformer of our dreams, Astrobot.
Yes.
He's back finally. About time. September 6th, this game launches with what I've read. I think they said 80 levels,
I
which is
believe so.
yes. You will explore 6 galaxies and over 80 levels in search of Astro's scattered crew. Yes, let's do it. The
Uh,
question that everybody's been asking, John, how much do you think this game is?
I mm,
Let me rephrase the question. How much are you willing to pay for an Astro
How
Bot
much am
game?
I willing to pay for 3D platformers, size platformer starring Astrobot? It's a
Yes.
different question from what I think the average consumer is willing to pay, but I would pay $70 for it. It looks cool. It looks big. It looks like it is using the PS5 to make a pretty like when I was a teenager and getting playing the Incredibles game on my uncle's GameCube, I
Hmm.
was really excited, and then I realized what 3D graphics on consoles can look like. And Astrobot, and there have been a couple other games like this, but Astrobot is the dream of playable Pixar video game. Like it looks movie quality. Like maybe if you look at it really closely and like expect the finer details, you can be like, actually, Pixar and CGI movies can look way nicer than this. But it does feel like a high quality
Yeah.
platforming game.
Yes. Which is pretty exciting. I think Team Asobi has. Well, we all should have played Astro's Playroom
Hmm.
for the PS5. If you
A
didn't,
sleeper hit on the PS5,
yes.
I think.
Now my hope is that it showed off the DualSense and all its doohickeys and stuff and
Hmm.
haptics and feedbacks and stuff. Um,
Hmm.
I think if people played that game and this game comes out and it's 40 or $50,
Hmm.
it's gonna be it's gonna sell like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, because I don't think it's that I think 3D platformers that are well designed and well made deserves like the full price like AAA
Hmm.
like this should or deserves to be cut to cost it $70. I think the issue is the average parent going to buy their kid like they think of Astrobot as a toy. They think
Yeah.
of 3D platformers as toys for little kids.
Hmm.
They're gonna bulk at $60-$70 for a children's kid game when they spent $70 for The Last of Us Part 2 or God of War Ragnarok, and like that was like a pristine like grown-up game.
Yeah.
Um and I don't think it's accurate. I don't think it's fair. I think it's reality. Um and I think like Ratchet and Clank, the 2016 game, did pretty good for Sony for the big like return of a Ratchet and Clank, and that was like $40 when it came out.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's you've also got the fact that we're living in a world of free to play games. So like the average game your kid's playing, like then you never spend a dime on it. Your kid just says, "Man, I'm really into Brawlhalla today." And you're like, "Oh, didn't know that was a thing." And it's like, "Yeah, it's a free game. Give me some Brawl." I don't know what the
You could have
currency of
picked
Brawlhalla is.
anything,
I
but you
specifically picked
picked,
Brawlhalla because Ubisoft is like, guys, we are making a shit ton of money on this game, and y'all aren't thinking about that. But
which
it
is
is like
insane.
secretly the second biggest uh platform fighter. Like it is the biggest Smash Brothers game out there, and
Huh.
not because it's good, and not because the characters are beloved and well known. It's because it's free to play and kids just roll on in. And then occasionally they're like, "You want Finn and Jake from Adventure Time?" And they'll be like, "Parents, give me my Brawl Bucks or whatever they're called. I don't know."
Yeah. Let's just stick with Brawlbucks.
Yeah.
Um.
Um.
Yeah.
I'm
My.
just so excited. Like, I see a lot of really good platforming mechanics. Like
Hmm.
one of the octopus boss feels straight up like one of the monsters you fight in Super Mario Sunshine.
Yep.
There's like just some really good like they got the Mario sauce.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever seen a 3D platformer outside of Nintendo that has the Mario sauce.
I mean, let's hope because like this is Team Asobi's first legitimate game.
Hmm.
So I'm hoping that this moves the needle in some sort of way because Team Asobi, let's not forget, Team Asobi was Sony Japan
Hmm.
Studio before
Yeah.
they switched over to Team Asobi. And if
Hmm.
we ever want to get a new Ape Escape, this game needs to
Hmm.
succeed.
Yes,
As
that
simple as
is
that.
true.
It's as simple as that. And guys, I don't know if you know this, but oh, damn, it's not working. I was gonna zoom in the camera. We need a new Ape Escape game. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We need a new Ape Escape game. So let's hope that this game does gangbusters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
I'm glad to have a 3D platformer from a company that isn't Nintendo. Not that I love Nintendo's games. I feel like they've been riding high,
yeah,
and their only competition is just to outdo themselves, which is something. But it's nice to see someone else throw their hat in the ring and put a real big effort into it. I think this is a great uh style of gameplay. I really like exploring and collecting little doodads.
yeah. And it's been a while since we got a platformer from Sony.
Hmm.
So it's time, you know. I'm excited. Let's hope it. Like I said, let's hope it works out.
Also, Sony, sell Astrobot figures. Sell like they don't have
Yeah,
to do
I was
anything in
just
games.
thinking about it.
Make Amiibo Astrobot bot figures. I want one for Aloy. I want one for Ratchet and Clank,
For all of them.
Kratos. Whatever Square Enix. I don't care how much money you have to pay them. I need a Sephiroth and a Cloud Astrobot. Like
Yeah.
I don't care how much money it costs. I will pay $60. I will pay $60 for the Astrobots, not just the game, the toys themselves. I will pay for $60 for each one. If you get some of those weird third-party characters.
John, I was literally just thinking the same thing.
Like I know they sell. There's a Nendoroid, which is a third party company that
Hmm.
does little chibi figures. Well, really well made chibi figures, and they do have an Astrobot from that company that's like $60 because that's about how much they always cost. But it's just the generic Astrobot. I'm saying I need at least the PlayStation guys, like
Yeah.
Nathan Drake, Aloy,
Yeah, man, it would
Kratos,
be
Atreus.
fantastic if it actually did it, you know? If they
Hmm.
actually did it. But
Yes.
let's see. Just give me the fox.
Oh yeah, and the Fox.
Yeah, come on, man.
I'm
They'd
so
make
excited for the Fox.
gangbusters. I keep saying gangbusters. They'll make money with these little
Hmm. Hmm.
figures. All right, which leads us to what we think PlayStation is going to how we think PlayStation is going so far with this year. We know that they haven't had any exclusives this year. They're not going to have any until March
Any
2025.
existing big IPs.
Yes, I'm sorry.
So
Any existing big
I
IPs.
only bring that up because like Astrobot is kind of big for
Yep,
people, but
you're right.
like it's the keyword is also existing because they might come up with like how Ghost of Tsushima was just a brand new IP.
Hmm.
We don't know what Sony Ben's working on. Maybe they bust. I think we know they're working on a new IP, so maybe they show something off and we're like, oh, that's our new Aloy, that's our new Ellie. You know how those were brand new characters that an IP that didn't exist. But uh, we aren't getting Ghost of Tsushima. That's what I like calling it.
Pretty good. That's pretty good.
Until March 2020. After March 2025, no new God of War, Last of Us sequels. So
Is it me or did they also make a new studio in Santa Monica? Like, there's a second Santa Monica studio that's not Sony Santa Monica.
I think I heard about that.
I could be wrong. When we were going through the news of like, hey, Sony Ben was supposed to be working on uh The Last of Us Part 1, and then they decided that they weren't going to because Naughty Dog was going to be working on that. And then I think that the Santa Monica studio, the second Santa Monica studio,
Mm-hmm.
came up for some reason. I don't remember why.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I am interested. The fact that first off, I'm devastated about the fact that yeah. Go. Did you find something?
Yeah, a new the this was like from a couple months ago, but we got a new studio from the Deviation Games team.
Okay.
So that's that's the I think they developed Destruction All Stars and then they got closed down. I think that
Gotcha.
team is in a new studio.
Yes.
Um so they're still together. I don't know, but we don't know where they are or what they're doing. I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all we know at this moment.
That's more than I needed. So thank you very much.
Yeah,
Well, I mean that's exactly what I needed.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's more than you knew, is what you were trying to say.
that's what I
Yes.
meant. Yes.
Mhm.
I am devastated to hear that as of this month, Zirkana's update Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has fallen down. I want to say, let me just pull it up. Give me 1 second. I
It's
think it
like
was
8 or 9.
no, I don't even think it was on the top 10 anymore. But let me just double check.
Oh, yeah. No, I was thinking halfway through the list, or bottom half of the list, but it's out of 20,
Yeah,
so it might be 12 or 14.
let's
Last month
see.
was
And of course, now I can't find it.
Here we go. I got it.
You got it?
Yeah. This is April. Yeah. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oh, I was thinking year to date, wasn't it? Yeah, I don't think it's even in the top 20.
Yeah, which kind of sucks.
Yeah. Because I think year to date it was number 4, and
Hmm.
that's kind of where it stopped. Or it's number 5 now, and it was number 4 when it released. So
Yeah.
it looks like Rebirth sales have tapered out.
Yeah, which is to be expected. You know, it's a sequel
Mm-hmm.
that people are waiting for
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing to be out, and I get that.
Yeah.
I also think once they do intermission sort of like
Mm-hmm.
update for it for um, Steam and Epic
Mm-hmm.
Games, I'm sure it'll pop back up.
Yeah.
Um, Helldivers continues to
Yep.
kick ass and take names. I'm very happy
Mm-hmm.
about that. I think while it is definitely a slowdown period for Sony, like they have had some missteps, of course. We know the deal with Helldivers 2 and needing a
Oh yeah.
PSN account and
And I
Ghost of
believe their
Tsushima
player numbers have also not like
dipped.
no, not come back.
Oh,
Like they're fine, but like they're significantly
less than what they
lower
were.
than yeah,
Yeah.
before the announcement. Like they haven't like obviously some people aren't going to return, but it seems like it's more fewer people are returning to Helldivers 2 than you'd expect.
Yeah, so I'm
Um
looking at it right now, 66,684 players right now.
mhm,
And 3 months ago, the mm, top we saw were 437,628. So,
mhm,
not great, but
mhm.
I expect
Definitely like like sustainable.
yeah, it's
Like
definitely
other
sustainable.
there's multiplayer games that would kill to have those numbers. It would kill
Yes.
the Justice League perhaps to have those numbers, but so like it's not a bad place at all. It's
Well done.
unfortunate that PlayStation is willing to like murder the sheep to get the wool, so to speak. Like
Yeah, and I think they did. If I remember correctly, you still need a PSN
yeah.
account,
He's-
which
Uh
means
I think they walked it back, but in territories where you can't get a PSN account,
hmm
they're still keeping the game off of Steam, which to me sounds like at some point because like every other game, like they're announcing right up front, you need a PlayStation account to log into
yeah,
God of War Ragnarok, Ghost of Tsushima.
hmm
So they are gonna bring it back eventually.
which is dumb, stupidest
Yeah.
thing in the world. Like I
Um
understand what the thinking is. Like, hey, we
mhm.
need information from people. Essentially, like we need you to
Yeah.
make an account because that's what brings
It's also
investors
to
back up.
genuinely like put up their PlayStation Network
Yeah,
numbers,
yeah,
like
yeah.
the look better in front of investors.
hmm But at the same
Um,
time, I feel like, hey, we have our all-time peak was
mhm,
458,709 people playing this game. Helldivers 2 on Steam alone.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should just get rid of the fucking. We don't need them to
Yeah.
make PSN accounts. Like, just
All
bring it
all
back.
you need to do is like literally all you need to do is like have a really good artist draw up a sci-fi version of the Bloodborne hunter hat and like cloak outfit and like theme it off the crow lady from Bloodborne and be like, this is a PlayStation Network exclusive. If you sign up the PlayStation Network account, you can get it for free, and people will just do it.
Yeah, and
Like now
also,
they're resistant because like you force it on them for
hmm
a weekend. But like if you started with that, if you started with iconic PlayStation characters that PC gamers love FromSoft games. They want Bloodborne so bad on PC. They might not be willing to buy a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 to play Bloodborne, but they might be willing to sign up for a free PSN account to get a crow helmet and like a crow outfit and Hunter must hunt emote for Helldivers.
yeah, and it's also like people have been saying, yeah, if you want people to sign up for a PSN account, just put in a new war bond.
Place
Yeah,
battle
battle
pass,
pass.
whatever it
Just
is,
put in a free
for
battle
Hell.
pass,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
would make so much sense. Like
It's a free battle pass that you just have to log in with your PlayStation account,
people
and
love
if you
free
don't want it,
things.
you don't get it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
People love free things. So why not
I mean,
just give it to them?
Epic Game Store may be a failure in general, but like people who play Fortnite on PC, they're all signed up for the Epic Game Store,
Yep.
whether they like it or not.
Yep. So
Um,
I think we'll definitely see a turnaround with the PSN account stuff now that Herman and the new guy, I don't know the new guy's name. I'm sorry.
um, yeah, he's like on more the business
Yeah.
side because I think he's more from the like outside of PlayStation part of Sony
Mm-hmm.
guy that kind of moved in. Because he hasn't been like in the public eye very often.
Nishino
Okay.
is will be appointed, well, is appointed the CEO of SIE's platform business group. So I
Mhm.
think with him, hopefully Herman can convince him, like, hey, like, as
Mhm.
much as we want this, just don't make this a thing because it's not going to end well for us. If we want to continue to grow our numbers on Steam,
Mhm.
we need to drop this shit because it's not working. And if something comes along the line where we can change it to work, like, let's say, like, for instance, um people who recently bought the Kingdom Hearts collection on Steam, they got a new fucking keyblade.
Yeah.
A
And
Steam
it
themed
looks really
keyboard.
cool.
It does. But that's what I'm saying.
Um,
Like, you have to give something in
mhm.
order to, like, if you think
Yeah.
people are just gonna do it just out of the kindness of their hearts, you're dead wrong. Like, they
Yeah.
want
Well, I
something
mean,
for free.
that's the thing. They're not trying to do it out of the kindness of their hearts. They're trying to line them up and or they're trying to lock a door that you just saw a bunch of people walk into and say, you need this card, get it from
No,
like down the street, and you're just like, those guys didn't get a card, and they're like, we'll figure that out later.
yeah,
You need this thing to get in now.
yeah. So,
So and it like it was supposed to like force you to make one before they logged in, but the situation of the server load was such a big problem
mhm,
that they just turned it off just to like get the game running because at the time the option was like force everyone to log in with a PSN account or shut the or and what you had the game wouldn't run in to it was the system to set up a PlayStation account was not working because of how many players were trying to log in.
yeah.
So they deactivated it for a time. Um but like the way to bring it back is not to just like say, "Hey, we're turning this back on right now. Figure it out."
Mhm.
It's it's to use the get as many people convinced in with incentives. Like people talk about PlayStation Plus, like Sony just when the PS4 was coming out, they were like, you need to pay to log into online. But for like the last 2 years of the PS3, The PlayStation Plus was only like it didn't need it for multiplayer. It was only free games and super heavy discounts on stuff, and then stuff like cloud saves and certain things like that. So going into the PS4, there was like a good millions of people, a good chunk of people on the PlayStation ecosystem that just had PS Plus account because it was a good deal.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "You need this account now to play online." And most of them were like, "Oh, I have it already." And a lot of people were like, "Oh, well, I see the 2, 3 games you give out every month and the huge discounts on PlayStation games. It's not that big a deal. I'm getting other stuff out of it anyway."
Yeah. Uh, let's hope that they figure it out soon because
Mhm.
I think that they could and they should figure it out because it just it's not that hard to figure out. You know what I'm saying? Um the other thing I want to talk about was Marathon was supposed to come out this year and
Oh
Destiny
yeah.
decided to push it back because well, Destiny the final shape uh, leaked this week that just passed and
Yeah,
also
I
is
have
out.
heard I've heard about the leak. I haven't heard what's in the leak, which is
Yeah, I think it's just like people started playing it early and they might
oh,
have beat the raid, which is
that's unfortunate. I
yeah,
know that's a big deal for
yeah.
games like that.
Let me just double check. The final shape came
On the other
out.
hand,
Yeah,
Stellar Blade was the best-selling game of April.
yeah, which is good for them because
Yeah,
that's
that's
very
technically a
surprising.
a PlayStation Studios game, like, it does the
Yeah,
PlayStation logo, so
it's a
that's something.
it's surprising because of all the backlash that it got when it first.
Yeah, and it's also the kind of backlash that when you see people fighting that hard for that kind of stuff, I can imagine a person being like, "Those are the fans of that game. I don't wanna be around them. I don't wanna
Yeah.
like the same thing as them." But I guess the average person, because there's people that just, like, load up the PlayStation Store and they're like, "What's on here?" And they're
Hmm.
just like, "Oh, that's a cool robot lady. I'll
We
see
see
what
it.
this is."
We see it because we're like attuned to
Yeah.
gaming Twitter. So like
Yeah, exactly.
but the random Joe Schmo, average
Mhm,
Joe Schmo doesn't
mhm.
even know that gaming
Yeah,
Twitter's a thing.
yeah. I mean, the games they get mad and yell about, like, sell too many copies for these real people to having effect on them. Like, I don't Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West sold way too much money for people to be like, "Mm, her cheeks are really thick.
Yeah, but
You can see the fuzz on her face. She doesn't shave. Why doesn't she shave? She has so many shards. What are they for?"
listen, I am I didn't bring it up. You did. All right.
Mhm.
I just
I'm sorry.
need
I'm
people
sorry.
to know that the Horizon games are not as good as you want them to be. They're very boring. And I will die on this hill.
What's frustrating is I agree with you, but my brain sees on the box giant robot dinosaur. It goes
Yes.
robot dinosaur. So I will always buy them. Until they stop making them, I will buy every Horizon game. I haven't bought Forbidden West. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when will I have time for a third person open world game.
Yeah.
Uh, but as soon as I'm like, I don't really have much going on right now. I'm rolling down. I'm getting those 2 discs for my PS5 and I'm loading them in and I'm shooting robots.
The question I have for you are you going to be playing the Lego version of these
Hmm.
games?
Hmm.
And the
It depends.
mobile version of these games. I think they're making a mobile game if I remember correctly. Not
The mobile version, probably not, because I just the type of mobile game I want to play is a Tetris game. Like, I want a game that I like
quick and
sit
easy.
down on the toilet. I just like go in, go out. Mobile games have too much story nowadays. Like, they're trying too hard to be um fancy games that take all of your time. And I get, like, there's teenagers that don't have, or little kids that don't have like console PC money. Like, I
Hmm.
get that's for them. But so often I'll be like, "Oh, it's a little side thing." And it's like, "No, we're a real game. We've got waifus and they talk about their feelings." And I'm like, I play these games for like a car ride or at the dentist's office. Like, I don't have time to get into all this stuff. The Lego game, I hope it's one of those Lego games that just sums up the events of Horizon Zero Dawn, because I want my girlfriend to watch me play Forbidden West, but I don't want to replay the entire story of Zero Dawn.
Hmm.
So I would like that. I think it would actually make a lot of sense with the robot dinosaurs because you have to shoot their parts
Yep.
to like craft things. That would make it so much easier if it was just like a glowing red Lego brick instead of a like, hey, you gotta blow up this plating to get this like doodad that'll like add rockets to your arrows.
Yeah. I am interested to see how it'll turn out because
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I think it's gonna be exactly that. It'll just be a retelling of the story just in Lego form,
Mm-hmm.
which we
Mm-hmm.
really need, but that's neither here nor there.
No,
They're also making a multiplayer game. It's supposedly it's in the
yeah,
works, which
I can see that working for a certain type of person. I just don't know how big the crossover between. I'm assuming it's a Monster Hunter type of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I
I don't
was
know how
thinking
big
too.
that crossover is. I'm assuming they're there though, because like there's a lot of that in the original in Horizon of like crafting pieces out of monsters you defeat. So like I can see that working. The question is how far is Sony willing to go to get like not just the big AAA like fighting a giant monster part of Monster Hunter, but also the weird, wacky, goofy parts. Because like those are games where you fight giant monsters, but then you also go, "Oh, I gotta get out of here," and jump on your little talking dog and like drive away, while
Yeah,
your calico talking cat cartoon guy is like, "Hey, you need heals, buddy?" Like, I I think they should go for the whole Monster Hunter, including the parts that are a little goofy and weird. Like, I think that's what makes Capcom games sing.
we'll see what happens. I just feel like this is too much. I was about to say
It is
Monster Hunter.
definitely too much Horizon.
It's too much Horizon.
I instead of the mobile game, I'd rather get an anime like those. You know how in the 360 era, like Dead Space would be like, here's a Dead Space anime experience. Like, I think the best way to get people into Horizon would be to just do an anime retelling of the like background like history events of like people being like, look, we built these cool robot dinosaurs. Nothing bad can happen with these.
Yeah, but guess what? Unfortunately, we're actually getting a Netflix TV show about
Just
Horizon.
remember the live action TV show. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a TV show, a multiplayer game, a mobile game,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm not sure what it is, a Lego game,
Mm-hmm.
and what one can assume another Horizon game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they've confirmed that
It's
Gorilla's
this.
next game is a third Horizon.
It's 5
Yeah, that's too much
games
Horizon.
plus a
As
TV.
someone
Well,
who
4
loves
games and
robot
a
dinosaurs,
TV show.
yeah,
It's
as
too
someone who
much.
loves robot dinosaurs, the game, I don't need that many
It's too
of the
much.
same robot dinosaur game. I need more IPs to do robot dinosaurs.
Yes.
I don't know why. What is the state of gaming that there is one
No,
robot
there's two.
dinosaur game?
There's two.
Oh, what's the second one? Is it Ark?
I was thinking of the Capcom game, if I remember correctly. Was it Capcom? Who does Street Fighter?
Exo Primal?
Yeah, there you go. Exo Primal.
So that is a mech game where you fight dinosaurs. That's a
Oh,
little different. The
gotcha.
dinosaurs aren't robots. You
Or
pilot a mech to fight an onslaught of dinosaurs.
my apologies.
Um, which it's a good ballpark. It's a good
Yeah.
ballpark. I'm just frustrated that there is only one game where there are dinosaurs, robots shaped like dinosaurs, when there
Yes.
should be like too many.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it feels like there's so many first person shooters out there. I feel like there should be just as many games where like, oh, here it comes again, another game about robot dinosaurs. And there should be like a bunch of really good ones and then like way too many really I don't know. It feels like video games, you know? Like if
Yes.
we can have so many scary spaceship games, should have at least 3 or 4 games about fighting giant robots shaped like dinosaurs.
We'll see. We'll see.
Mm.
We could get an Uncharted game where it's just fighting dinosaurs. We could get a Last of Us game where they're fighting dinosaurs. You never
That
know.
actually is my dream Last of Us Part 3.
Just
Like
fighting dinosaurs in the future.
like Ellie finding out she's not immune to, well, I guess then she would die, but like you can't inhale like these microchip spores, or they turn you into a robot dinosaur.
Yes,
Ah,
because there's definitely somebody in the Last of Us universe that's trying to
mhm.
figure out how to create microchips that are breathable to turn somebody into a mecha dinosaur.
Yep, yep. It's like that one Spider-Man webcomic. I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn people into robot dinosaurs.
Oh man. Oh man. Um, we are supposed well, we have that leak for Insomniac that we were supposed
Oh
to be
yeah.
getting a Venom type game, I think it was, or DLC for Spider-Man 2 that was just Venom.
From what I understand, it's essentially a Miles Morales sized game,
That was just Venom,
but centering around Venom.
which
Um,
interesting.
I was I was really skeptical about it when I first heard about it because I hadn't played Spider-Man 2 yet. Excuse me.
That's all right.
But the way um Venom works in the Insomniac universe, I can see being
Yeah,
fun
it works. So I'm
because
go ahead.
like Eddie Brock is always like pure asshole Venom. So I was
Hmm.
like, I can't see that being anything else but a game where you're just a really mean black blob for an hour. But I think the way they write because it's Harry
Harry
Osborn.
Osborn. Yeah.
Yeah, spoilers for Spider-Man 2, one of the biggest games of last year.
If you haven't played it, that's on you.
Yeah. If you haven't finished Spider-Man 1 where Norman looks at the screen and says, "I'm turning Harry into Venom," that's on you.
Yes.
Um, I I like the way he's portrayed as a person who wants to do good, and then like the just the way the symbiote works for him, it just makes him like, what if I could murder people to make things better? That works, right? You can do some violence.
Yes.
So I can see a game that's like Harry, sort of like the Tom Hardy movie, Harry taming Venom to kind of be like a little bit of a better guy, but it wouldn't be Tom Hardy. It would be Harry Osborn. That's a different actor.
It is.
It
It's
is,
just
and
unfortunate that
that's
you
what's good.
mentioned Tom
That's what
Hardy.
makes Spider-Man 2 so good.
Yeah. We were also supposed to be getting that multiplayer Spider-Man game, which looked incredible. I don't know what the hell happened to it and why they stopped, but that's neither here nor there.
I'm a, I'm I'm assuming there was a good reason behind,
Yeah,
just
I'm
because
sure there was.
I don't think there's. I think sometimes when you go, let's do live services. Sometimes a project they're like, listen, we do Ratchet,
Hmm.
we do Spider-Man.
Yes.
It's been so long since Resistance. We don't have those guys that were like doing that like multiplayer stuff. I can imagine it being a little difficult.
And if it's anybody like Insomniac has been pushing out, they pushed out more PS5 games than I think any other PlayStation
Yeah.
studio, which is nuts. So I get that they if it didn't work, it didn't work. Like we
Mhm.
were spending too much resources on it. Like that's fine. That's completely
I think it could have been a really cool idea
yep.
that like in practice they were just like, hey, so much of what you do that makes Spider-Man fun doesn't work when you have three other Spider-Mans hanging out with you.
Yeah, and that's
So
completely fair. I
yeah,
just wish it would have came out so we could have seen
yeah,
it. You know, that would have been
yeah.
great.
It
Uh,
sounds
we also have the Wolverine game that's supposed to be coming out. I want to say maybe
yeah.
next
That
year
is a
or 2 years.
2025.
Yeah.
It's weird because Wolverine was officially announced. We saw a real trailer for it, but it
Yep.
was so short that it feels like a leak to me. Just the fact that like, oh yeah, and they're working on a Wolverine game.
Hmm.
I keep forgetting that was officially announced,
Yeah.
and they just they had Spider-Man 2 already out, or like the next game they were releasing, so they really didn't wasn't smart to talk too much about Wolverine
Yeah.
until then.
But
I
it,
trust them. They've done good stuff.
exactly, like it's fine because we know for a fact that this game will be coming out because they have also in the leak they mentioned that they are going to be developing. No, I think the contract was that like they are going to be developing games for specifically Marvel games, and I think it was
Mhm.
specifically the X-Men.
Yeah.
Nuts.
X-Men. is like the next project from that team after
Yes.
they finish Wolverine, and assuming nothing goes terrible with
Well, I think
Wolverine.
after they finished Spider-Man, because I think Spider-Man was also
Oh,
on the
okay.
list.
So
Spider-Man
the
3.
Spider-Man team on X-Men, Wolverine,
Hmm.
gotcha.
So
Which
I
is
think,
fine. I think it's better to give Spider-Man a break, and then when they're like, when we get even a trailer where we see like a web splat that just says 3 on it, and they're like tune in next PlayStation showcase, that'll be really exciting when we've had a bit of a break from Spider-Man.
yeah, I am interested to see what happens with Insomniacs. Like, one would assume they are also working on Ratchet and Clank, because
Um,
why not?
well, because I think the Ratchet and Clank team was the team that kind of formed into the Miles Morales team.
Gotcha. Yeah, you're right.
Or no, I
I think
can't
it
remember
was.
how, because I think they released in the same year, but um, because like I forget how it works, but like the way the Spider-Man Miles Morales Ratchet and Clank thing, it was sort of like a back and forth situation.
Hmm.
So I know the Spider-Man 1 team did Spider-Man 2. Miles Morales was a separate team. I don't know if they I
I
think
think
it actually might be a third team actually.
I think because it was the riffs in Ratchet and Clank,
Mhm.
they kind of, well, no, because there weren't any riffs in I mean there were, but not like full video game for
Yeah,
Spider-Man 2. So
yeah. I know
yeah,
there's the Miles Morales side objective things or
yeah.
the Mysterio.
Hmm. So
Um
we'll see. I'm
we'll see.
sure. Yeah, they Insomniac. We trust you to
And
do whatever
I
you need to
want
do.
I like I said, that is the last Sony platformer before Astrobot.
Yeah.
So like the more people running around in that space outside of Nintendo, the more fresh ideas we get, kind of
Yep.
keep that style of development going.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with Insomniac, and I think but Neil Druckmann had this whole thing going around about AI. We're not going to talk about that right now. We're
I
just
will.
gonna.
I don't want to make a big thing of it.
Uh huh.
It turns out that was Sony PR
Yeah.
rewriting a rambling statement and just literally put that in his mouth. He never mentioned. He
No.
posted the actual thing that email he sent to Sony, and like they just made it up. They just made up the AI shit.
No, I'm aware. I just didn't want to get into like AI
Yeah,
when we're talking
I
about.
didn't want someone watching this to be like, "Oh no, Neil Druckmann's an AI pervert." It's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, he said something else. Sony was like, "We need to push AI, so we'll just pretend he said it."
He's
And then
an
he was like,
AI
"No, I didn't say
pervert.
that." He's got other problems, but he's not an AI guy.
Yeah. I am excited for he had announced that they were working on a new IP, I think it was, if I remember
That's
correctly.
I don't I don't think I've heard something, but
I
a
could be
new
wrong.
project.
New project, that's what it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like a Naughty Dog ass game in
Yeah.
like the good way.
Oh, I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. Hold on.
I thought you were building to something.
No, I wasn't. I just pushed the wrong button. Hold on.
Okay, that's funny. I
Let me
thought you were gonna be like,
there you
"Yo,
go.
Naughty Dog,
I got something for you.
drop Jack 4,
Yeah. Oh man,
Jack
could you
4, and
imagine?
he's jacked for Jack apostrophe D, and he's big and
He's
buff, and
swole.
he's who's that guy? Not The Rock. Who's the guy that hates The Rock? Vin Diesel is jacked
Could you
for.
imagine?
Yeah,
Could
Vin
you imagine?
Diesel, and then Big Betrayal. I forgot his name. The Heart guy is Dexter, and then that's how you find out that uh, The Rock is no longer friends with. I forgot his first name, but the guy, the comedian Hart,
Kevin Hart?
Kevin Hart.
There
That's
you
how
go.
you find out The Rock is no longer
Are
friends
they
with
no
Kevin Hart.
longer friends?
No, I'm making this up. I'm making this
Oh,
up because
okay, okay.
Vin
Because of
Diesel
Vin
plays
Diesel.
Jack.
Yeah,
You got
yeah.
Kevin Hart voicing
Gotcha.
Daxter, and
Gotcha,
you're like,
gotcha,
oh,
gotcha.
why is he hanging out with Vin Diesel? I guess him and The Rock. No, as far as I know, they're still friends.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair
Vin
enough.
Diesel and The Rock.
Oh
Oh
god.
no, no, they are friends because of spoilers for Fast X. I forgot. Whew,
Okay.
sorry.
I think they did have beef
We were
though.
over
I
that.
think they did have beef though.
They did,
Yeah.
but they're working together in the next Fast movie.
I don't think it's because Vin Diesel wants to. No.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure it
Gotcha.
was Universal. I don't know. I
Well,
haven't seen any of the Fast Fear and Furious movies. But I'm
yeah.
pretty sure I remember hearing because it was
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah, it was Universal. Anyway, um who do we got left? I'm excited to see what Naughty Dog is working on.
Mhm.
It's about time, you know. Uh
Meme over. I would like to see Naughty Dog do a lighthearted game again. Doesn't
yeah,
have to be a
it'd be
cartoon
nice.
Jack game. Like, doesn't have to be Uncharted itself, but like Uncharted E.
Well,
Like,
speaking of Uncharted E, like they put out a video of the game stuff coming out in 2024, which has a little clip of a girl walking in a cave, and I'm pretty sure that was
mm,
supposed to be the next
mm,
Uncharted game
mm, mm.
coming from Sony Bend. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
I
We'll
don't-
see.
yeah,
Maybe
I want Sony Bend to get something out.
it's
I
been a
feel bad
while.
that they.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't play much of Days Gone, but I feel like it being a mid game got way more hate
Mm-hmm.
just for like I think if you're into like motorcycles and zombies that aren't called zombies because that's too weird. I think if you had a good time, that's fine. I don't know why people were like excited to like hate on that game.
John, I couldn't
Um,
tell you if I beat that game or if I stopped midway. I know I played it, but I don't remember if I finished it.
I
I don't remember if I didn't.
think I played it. I think it eventually came to PS Plus, and I played a little bit of it,
Yeah.
and I was
It was
like,
on the
I
PlayStation
don't think
collection.
collection, yeah. And
Yes.
then I was like, I'm not that into motorcycles.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
why didn't you just call them
I have to
zombies?
fix
Freakers
it.
sounds like a slur. Like it's not a slur, but it sounds like a slur. Like I
But
feel
you're
like
right. You're right. You're right.
it's like I feel like I'm insulting mentally handicapped people. Like
Yeah.
I don't
No, I
like just
get
call
what
them
you're
zombies.
saying. I get what
Call
you're
them zombies.
saying. I get
Get out
what you're
here.
saying. That
The only
it's
reason why they don't call them zombies in Night of the Living Dead is because the average human didn't know what zombies were in the 1950s and 60s. Like we know they're zombies now. It's okay. We can
yes.
call them zombies.
Yes. Well, it's like The Walking Dead calls it what? Walkers?
Walkers.
Yeah.
Walkers at least like that doesn't sound like a weird thing you would insult someone with. It just sounds like, man, these people be walking
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
the motorcycle is good, just not my thing.
Correct. It wasn't for me
That's
either.
don't
But
use freakers.
like I said, I
Not
couldn't
nice
tell you.
people.
Sorry. And I think Sony Santa Monica is Cory Barlog is working on a new IP that's supposed to be fantasy based, if I remember correctly.
Said that.
Yeah.
It might
Um,
be I don't know because it might be sci-fi only because I remember it sound people being like, oh, it's like a zig after
that could be
God
true.
of War.
That's a good point. It could be. Yeah.
That's not the one. I'm looking for.
New game. Yeah, it's just something cool. You know, like let's hope it's something fucking cool. You know. So.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, you're right. It is rumored to be sci-fi.
Okay, cool.
So
Um I'm
interesting.
sure like they're aware of the meme from the Games Fest that was like, oops, all horror sci-fi games in a space station.
Hmm.
Like I think sci-fi is a like Astrobot is sci-fi. So like that's a wide enough berth that it can be something like AAA Sony and not feel like, oh, another sci-fi game. So
Yeah. So let's hope it is good. Well, they're coming out with Ragnarok for PC, so
mhm,
like we'll see something soon from them, hopefully.
I hope so.
And I think that's pretty much it for PlayStation. Could we see? Is there anything that you want to see from PlayStation in the next year?
Um I want to know media molecule situation. Because they said the
Oh, that's
next
a good
game
point.
is not a it's not a creator suite, like it is a
Yeah.
video game where you play the game and the game exists and you don't build the game.
Hmm.
I don't think that's a problem for Media Molecule at all. I think it's good to kind of like shake things up. I just want to know that they are safe. Um, because I don't think like Sony's on a rush to like take down game developers. I just think um Media Molecule put so much time and probably money into Dreams, and I don't think they got as much out of it as Sony was hoping for.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think the biggest problem they also have is that for whatever reason they never put it on PC. As like,
Stupid. So dumb.
yeah, like I understand why they did it in the PS4 era, but
Yeah.
like I think when it became obvious that PS5 was a thing, they should have put it on PC just to because like the dream was Minecraft.
Hmm.
Like it seems weird now, like that they were focusing so hard on Dreams when it was coming out, but then you look at Minecraft and Roblox and it makes total sense.
Yeah.
That isn't something you want to keep locked to a platform, and I think like a couple years after it was out on PS4, they should have put it on PC and like integrated that system together, and they could have had something. But I think there's a lot of creativity at Media Molecule, and I want to know that they're making something that will keep them going.
Yeah.
Um,
My hope is that it's not a Little Big Planet. Like we're
I
getting
believe it's a
Astro.
new IP.
Let's hope. Let's hope because I think it would be too much if they come out with a Little Big Planet,
Yeah.
specifically after Sackboy a Big Adventure, which I don't
Mhm.
think.
That was Sumo Digital.
Yeah.
'Cause
So.
they Media Molecule only made the first two games, and I
Hmm.
think the PSP or Vita game, like one of the
Tearaway.
handheld ones.
Yes.
Yeah, and Tearaway. But Sumo Digital did 3 and Sackboy Big Adventure.
Yeah.
So I think I have a soft spot for Little Big Planet. I never got too into the creating your own world thing, but I really liked playing the levels Media Molecule made, and my brothers had both made a bunch of cool levels and could point me to really cool levels, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I think right now, in terms of like kid friendly um, mascot characters, you want to go hard on Astrobot and kind of um, not dilute the fun you can get out of Astrobot by bringing Sackboy back into the equation, because
Hmm.
I think Sackboy is very much an avatar while Astrobot is like a character.
Yeah. So let's hope that whatever Media Molecule comes out with
Hmm.
is good. Is
Yeah.
We don't want to see them close down.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be bad. There's some kind of project that I can see that I will have fun with, but I'm like, I can't see this making money or keeping them
Yeah.
going. But Sony Sony plays favorites sometimes, so I can imagine them being like, "Nah, you do your thing. We'll keep you around." But I mean, like they've already closed like the London studios that were making
Yep.
the
VR
what are they
games.
called games? The VR games too, but also the game show games that were big on the PS3 and the iToy stuff. Like
Oh,
that team is completely gone.
yes.
So-
So that's another thing that we haven't talked about yet. PSVR 2, Dead in the Water.
Oh yeah. I that's why like I had nothing to say about the VR games that they showed.
Yep.
Um, which is sad to say because they showed off an Alien game, and all I could think was, "That's the Alien."
Yep.
Don't know how this game plays, but you showed that Alien.
Hmm.
Um, I I feel I don't know why PSVR 2 got made.
I don't know either.
Yeah, like I mean, I can see why Sony, the computer entertainment tech company, made a VR helmet that's blue. I don't know why it says PlayStation. I don't know why it currently only works for the PlayStation 5. And I don't know why Sony spent so much money on a Horizon game and then didn't make anything remotely VR PlayStation again.
Related. Yeah. So I think the reason why they made it is because they expected they probably heard that Apple was coming out with the
Hmm.
Vision Pro, and Meta is still kicking ass with the Meta Quest. So
Yeah,
I
and they have
think
Asgard Wrath game that's like
Yeah,
really well reviewed by game
everybody.
journalists and everyone
Yeah,
who plays VR games and likes video games.
that's the game to play. Yeah. So
Um,
I think that they thought it could have been a moneymaker, but the problem was the price was too high, $600
yeah,
for
because like that's on top of a $500 PS5.
exactly. Like you need the PS5 to play this,
Yeah,
which
I think
is
the big kicker is
insanity.
also, and I understand tech wise, I understand that these are two different machines. VR technology today is, I mean, it kind of is, but Sony did the Move thing with PSVR on PS4,
Hmm.
and I think that bit them in the butt with PSVR 2, where you can't just say, hey, PSVR games you already got, they work better on PSVR 2 now. The fact that they're not backwards compatible and it's not
Yep.
guaranteed
Yep.
that they're getting a PSVR 2 version, I think
Hmm.
that caused a lot of issue.
Yep.
Because,
It needed to be backwards compatible. It just needed to
yeah.
be. There's no ifs, ands, or
And
buts
like,
about it.
it needed to be the Xbox way, where it's like it's backwards compatible. Also, we did a lot of work, so it's not. These are technically brand new, like technology. Like you're not
Exactly.
like
Ex-
Xbox. You stick a 360 disc in your Xbox Series X, you get your game and you can just play it. But like, it's not installing the disc that you put in. It's downloading a Series X version from the that Microsoft worked hard to get running on Series X. That's
yes.
what they needed to do because the average consumer doesn't need to know that techno Bible. They just need to know that don't worry, you can beat Saber and you don't have to worry about what your PS4 version of Beat Saber is. And
Yes.
they didn't do that, and I think it just killed all momentum for the PSVR brand.
Like I understand why they switched over. Like it couldn't have
Yeah,
gotten the copies
you got
because
Move ones that work with a camera versus like
not
these have
even
the
it wasn't even that. It was the fact that it was easier to port like like newer VR titles
yeah
to PSVR 2. So
yeah
like that I completely understand, but at the
mhm,
same time, you could have figured it out.
yeah.
Like
I mean, like because Beat Saber exists on like modern VRs, and like you
yeah,
can still use it with modern VR. Like all you had to do was take uh allow incentivize developers that have PSVR 1 games to upload their make it easy to port their current VR versions for PC or in uh I forget what the Valve
index.
Meta
Oh
Quest type VRs that like everyone is using to port those versions into a PSVR 2 way and then call it backwards compatible
yeah, it just
just
they
to get that keep that momentum instead of being like sorry guys you're gonna have to figure it out and then bit by bit because like I got an update for Thumper because I play Thumper on my PS4 PS5 the PS4 version. It's like hey the VR2 version is out. If you got a PSVR2 like you can play it with like $2 a
mhm,
fee and like I don't need to know that. I think they should have made it seamless even
yep,
if Sony has to put that money into it. You got to eat that cost to keep the VR brand worth something.
yep,
Instead, people were like, "Why did I buy this thing?" Well, let's see what PSVR 2 games come out, and they're like Horizon. They're like, "That's it."
yeah. Allegedly, there's supposed to be a PC adapter, but they didn't mention
Yeah,
it in this state of play.
I didn't mention it here, and I think it's kind of too late to position it as a PC device.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think it's too late. I think it's never too late for the people who have gotten the device already. I think
Yeah,
it's too late for people that
to
you want.
incentivize
Yeah,
someone with a PC to be like, "Hey, you should be thinking about PSVR 2."
yeah, exactly. So it is what it is. There are talks of them making a mobile. Sorry, let me rephrase. There are talks of them making a handheld gaming device that's not the Portal, which is
Yeah,
interesting.
from what I've understand, it's kind of a portable PC Steam Deck type of thing with
Yeah,
PlayStation branding on it.
let's
Um,
see if it actually comes out.
yeah, I the dangerous thing is that they can go one of two routes and they could make it a PC PlayStation hybrid that you can like actually because like the big problem right now is you can't play every PS4 PS5 game on Steam yet.
Yeah.
They're not all there. Like, and I'm saying the back catalog. Like, I'm obviously you can't play Spider-Man 2. I'm saying the version of like I'm a PlayStation gamer. I want to play PlayStation on the go.
Yeah, like Cooper.
Older stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So either you figure out a way to get this treated as a PS4, PS5 thing that can also play Steam games, to get that full like PC functionality, or you make it only Steam, and then you do the Nintendo thing of trying to bonk people trying to play PS5 or Spider-Man 2 on your not a PlayStation device.
yeah,
And there's pros and cons to either of those directions, but like it's not going to look good if you're like, this is not a PlayStation, it's a computer. Stop trying to play the PlayStation 5 exclusives on it
yeah.
and the few that exist. Um, I think I think there is a place for a PlayStation handheld in a general sense, though.
Definitely.
I I do want one to exist. I think the portable PC angle is a good route to go because it doesn't set up the expectation that you can play every PS5 game and it'll look exactly like a PS5. No one plays Steam Decks or ROG allies like that. They expect it. They understand that there will be some compromises. Um, and then you don't have to design every PS5 game with the idea that, oh, and I have to get it running on this thing. Like it's more of a, and I can tweak certain things to make it run a little better on there. Um, I think it's all right because you also don't want to do the Vita thing now that Switch like is one in the same for handheld and console. You don't want it to be like you can only play handheld versions on this thing because I don't think
Yeah.
anyone's playing with that anymore, especially in a post Steam Deck world.
I think they need to, if they're going to come out with this thing, it needs to, like, I just need to play the games that I have in my library on
Hmm.
this thing. No
Hmm.
ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, if you're going to sell it to me, let's say it's going to be $500 or more,
Yeah.
it needs to do that
Yeah.
because the portal right now is, I think it was $200. I could be
I
wrong.
think it's $2. It might be going on sale sometimes now that it's been a bit, but
They're also having trouble restocking it. Yeah, it's $200. They're also having trouble restocking it, which is a good thing. I don't think that they
yeah.
made as many when they first
It's
came out with
interesting
this.
because it did seem like it was positioned as a niche product, and it seems like a lot of people are in that or more people are in that niche than they expected at the time. So
Yeah. I almost bought it and I decided to go against it because it was just remote play only, which I
yeah,
was not a fan of.
I was the moment I found that out, I was like, this isn't useful for me. I Central Indiana, even though I'm close to Indy, it's mostly pretty good, but like it is not a guarantee that like you might wake up and not have internet for the day. So um every time that happens, I'm like, glad I got my Switch.
Yeah, but it's also like you want to take it on the go. Like
Yeah,
if I'm not driving, if I'm taking the bus to work and it's a
taking the bus, a
45
train,
minutes,
an airplane.
yeah, like I want to play this on the go. I don't want it to be
Yeah.
tethered to Wi-Fi. Like just, you know.
Something I just thought that can fix the like it's a Steam piece, it's a PC portable thing, but
Mhm.
it's not really a PlayStation. That would be a good incentive for your PlayStation Network account.
Yes,
Because then you can
absolutely.
dodge the you can't play PS5 games that aren't on Steam yet by you log into your account
And
and
it's
it's
just
like technically this isn't on PC yet, but like you have a PlayStation account, you have it on
exactly.
digital or
It just pops
physical,
up in
like
your library.
yeah.
Yeah, which
Um,
would be great.
and like people will work around it, but at some point you got to understand that if you make something open, like your choices are to spend money and time bonking people who are trying to crack your thing open, or just let them have it and just incentivize them to get the product and get invested in the things that are worth buying on it, and accept that somebody is inevitably going to be like, I'm running N64 games on my PlayStation.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Mhm.
All in all, I think that while yes, PlayStation is having a bit of a down year in the sense of its IPs, I think we got a pretty big game, which was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and we are getting a pretty big game, which is Astrobot. So
And Stellar Blade is doing well, so
exactly that
somebody's
too,
yeah.
which is I'm gonna be honest with you, surprised the shit out of me.
Oh, yeah, same here.
Yeah,
I think it speaks more to, April being a slow year for games,
yeah,
more so than Stellar Blade's success, but and then we keep talking about Rebirth's, like, issues with sales and stuff. It is the 4th best-selling game of the year.
yeah, which
Like,
as it should be.
we're still at the beginning, but, like, there's only 3 above it, and one of them is Helldivers. That's
Hmm.
still a Sony thing,
Yep.
more so than Rebirth, but, I think there's a lot of good stuff to play, on the PS5. As someone who can't afford a triple decker gaming PC that can run like stuff way better and is like a better bang for your buck. So the PS5 is kind of the main place where I play uh cutting edge games. I think it's kind of fine with the third parties you can get, and like I think for me Rebirth and eventually I might get Stellar Blade. I think those are satisfying, and Astrobot, because Astrobot just got announced and is coming out soon. I think those are satisfying like games to play on your PlayStation.
Yeah, I definitely think that while it is a down year, it's not
Mhm.
as down as it could be.
Yeah, I survived the Wii and the Wii U. Like there are, this is a slower year. Like I've experienced like droughts
Yeah,
from those systems. Like when they're like when Nintendo wakes up one day and it's like it's next system time.
yeah.
Stop the presses. We are not making games for this thing anymore. And you're just like, could I have a cup of 2D Kirby? And they're like,
Hmm.
yeah, you may have one 2D Kirby. You may have Rumbles Through the Bag, Pikmin side scroller, Animal Crossing Mario Party.
Yeah,
Like this isn't that kind of a year.
it could be
And
worse. It could be
yeah,
much worse.
it helps that like the biggest games can't ignore PlayStation anyway. So like
Yes.
you're still getting Elden Ring, you're still like Assassin's Creed, of course, is coming to PlayStation. Like,
Let's not forget that PlayStation 5s are outselling Xboxes
yeah,
5-1.
5 to 1,
So
yeah.
they're doing good on the platform on the platform? No, on the console
The
selling front.
It's weird to say that like the console war is over and there's like a definitive winner. Technically, it's Switch, but that like that it's it. I think a couple years ago, even as recently as a couple years ago, there was like a purpose to discussing like console sale numbers. Now it feels like almost worthless. It's like that's not what
Yeah, it's not
the market is about, the industry is about anymore. It's like,
it's a one person uh war. Like
yeah,
so the only people that are fighting this is PlayStation.
yeah,
Xbox gave up. Nintendo
um,
was like, we're not doing this anymore because we're doing
yeah.
our own thing. And
Like
yeah.
if you're a super casual gamer, you're gaming on your phone. If you're like the concept of like well developed games, but you don't care how they look, just like as long as they're working and they're like something meatier than a mobile phone game, you got Switch.
Yep.
If you want like art and like highly technical games, but also you don't have like 3 grand to throw around, PS5. Um, and then if you got a ton of money around, like PC and then Xbox, like
If you
they
got
do have
15
their spot.
bucks
Yeah,
to
yeah.
yeah.
Xbox is like right between Switch and PlayStation with the Series S. When you think about it, it's
Yeah.
like I want to play modern stuff. I want to socially play. Like that's something that they do better than Switch,
I
and that
still
was something
have
that
my Xbox Series S. Like I haven't gotten a Series X.
I'm the only reason like I'm thinking about getting one eventually to get like those back catalog like Xbox 360 games, because I got a PC for that and now I'm finding out how many games never got a PC port at
Hmm.
all, and I'm like that's a good reason to pick one up because like they play better than they did at the time now.
Yeah.
um and if that's more my goal than like like Microsoft exclusives on the Series X, so like S kind of makes sense. I don't really lose that much out.
Plus
um
it's cheaper
that kind of
now.
works.
I think the
Yeah.
500 gig is 250 if I remember correctly.
It does scream, I wanna play Ninja Gaiden 1 for the original Xbox, doesn't it?
It does. It absolutely
Yeah.
does.
So, like, I think Microsoft can be in a better spot eventually with like once they really go into being like full like just putting their games everywhere, and getting a cheaper version with Game Pass. Um,
Yeah.
so
Sorry. So the Xbox Series S, that's 500 gigs is 300, and I think the terabyte is 350.
350. Oh, yeah, that's pretty
So
good. That's pretty
no,
good.
not bad at all.
So yeah, but yeah, if you're a parent who wants to play Assassin's Creed and they want their kid to like have a Minecraft machine, like that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah. So all in all, I think PlayStation is doing pretty good so far. Like I said,
Mhm.
like we said before, it could be worse. There could be no games.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
looking at you, Xbox. Um, yeah. So we'll see what happens in the next coming months. With that being said, John, any final thoughts before we close out?
Like I said, I would put it on our scale the 5 mediocre side, like, and like I hope that doesn't sound like an insult. Like I didn't I've watched versions of these where like I feel like I wasted my time.
Yes.
There were a lot of there were a couple chunks where I like zoned out for a bit, but like there was a lot of stuff that got me excited, especially Astrobot, and like a lot of people are treating it like the Astrobot show, and I think there was a couple of things towards the beginning that made it a little more than that. But I mean, it's like we said, slower year for PlayStation. They've admitted as such.
Yeah.
I think they did the best with what they got. Well, I think they could have been nicer to the games that I was talking about in the middle with the East
Oh,
Asian and
the Wind Meets
Ballad
West.
of Antara and Winds Where Winds Meet. Like they could
Oh.
have differentiated them because they look
Did you
cool.
hear what
They're
I
just
just called it? Wind Meets West.
like that sounds like a game I could see existing.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but I've seen way worse conference state of play or type things, not state of plays period. But
We've seen worse state of plays.
yeah, okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's that
Absolutely.
they made an all VR one, and that feels really funny after this state of play to imagine that existing. They
Yep.
did couple
Absolutely.
and they're like, "Here's 3 games." I'm like, "I don't like any of these."
Yep.
So,
Yep. Yep.
um, but I I think with E3, like, Nintendo Direct style things, I think we're really missing out on, like, letting the developers kind of do an
Like a
elevator pitch.
treehouse.
Uh, somewhere between a treehouse, like the treehouse would do, like, a snippet, like a pre-recorded snippet before they do their full, like, live stream
Hmm.
gameplay demos. I think we need a little more of those.
Okay.
Um, I think there are some games that show really well in trailers. I think there are some games. I think the ID at or the Microsoft
ID at
Direct,
Xbox. Oh, a
yeah,
developer underscore direct.
yes, I
Okay.
think that was really good because it did give us like a pitch from the developers that gave us like context for what our trailers were seeing.
Yeah.
I think we could have used a lot of more for those show games in the middle that had like similar visual art styles or combat visuals, like that would have kind of fleshed them out more.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. I am not. I want to say like I'm not scared that PlayStation's gonna fumble the bag because I just don't see that happening. But
Hmm.
with, I mean, I do see it happening if they continue to push the PSN
Hmm.
accounts on uh PC. So we'll see what
Oh yeah,
happens with that.
that's
I
one of those weird things though, where like it sucks if you're playing multiplayer games on PC, and it sucks if you're trying to make a bigillion dollars from PlayStation, and for some reason you're getting snippy about your subscription numbers. But like, I don't think it affects like the PlayStation 5 owner a whole
hmm
lot.
right.
Um, I feel like console cycles are a lot like trains, where like they're slow to start up, and then like towards the end you kind of notice there's a junction in the track, and you're like, this could lead to disaster or something cool. But like when you're in the middle, like it just kind of, now that you're winning and you're just keep going, or you're going uphill and you're here feeling it get slower and slower. Like if you're in the Xbox case, we're in a spot where unfortunately Sony doesn't have to do much to keep PS5 going for the
Yeah.
time being.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's hope.
Now, if this continues into next year, where people don't get a Ghost of Tsushima announcement, and we don't know Balrog leaves Santa Monica, like worst case scenarios, that might be a different story. But right now, like I have a lot of games to play.
Yep.
Not all of them say Sony at the beginning of the game, but I'm having a good time.
Same here. Same here. With that being said, John, thank you for joining me for this PlayStation State of the Union. Again, I was going to say State of Play. I'm very glad I didn't.
Yeah, I forget that that's our thing, is State of the Union
Yep.
thing. I was like, but it is State of Play. So no, I get what you're saying. I get it.
Yes. We are well, I am planning to do one for Nintendo. I think they are supposed to be having a direct for June, if I remember correctly. So
That's like what they usually do. We're in that weird. Oh no, they did confirm. I forgot. The president confirmed
yes,
that they are doing a direct sometime within June, and they
yeah,
will not be talking about Switch 2 things.
which
Like
means
Switch
they
2,
definitely will be mentioning Switch 2
I think
things.
it'll be one of those things where towards the end of the direct, we will see a game and people will go, "That can't run in Switch," and they will be like 2025.
Yeah, but it's also like they say things like that every time. So like they'll say like we'll be talking about games specifically
Mm-hmm.
for 2024. And
Oh yeah,
then there's like 6 or 7 games that pop up that say 2025.
yeah, that's true. What I'm
So,
saying is that they won't have a Nintendo Switch logo.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Like they won't begin with the click, and
Mhm.
that's how you. They'll just be like a cold entry into a trailer, and you'll be like, "That's not. I know
Interesting.
what Switch games look like, and that's
Yeah.
not it."
Yeah. You'll
So
you'll
yeah,
hear this sound for the Switch 2. Hold on, let's hope I could catch it. Did you hear it?
no, I
Oh.
think Discord
Hold on. I think I
noise reduction stopped it.
give me 1 second.
All right.
How about now?
Not really. I'm
Ah,
not hearing anything,
that's
unfortunately.
fine. That's fine. It wasn't worth it.
I'm sorry.
That's
I
okay.
was because it's gonna be magnet based, and it's gonna go
Yes.
like
Yes.
together. Oh man.
Yes. So we'll see what
Um,
happens with that. With that being said, we'll probably do that probably in the middle of June. Honestly,
mhm.
that's what I'm thinking.
We'll
Uh,
find out like a week before it happers, and then we'll scramble.
yeah,
You know how Nintendo is.
yeah,
And if they
exactly.
say within the next 24 hours, like it's gonna be garbage. Like
Yeah, like
the best direct, they were like 2 weeks ahead. They were like, "We're doing a direct 2 weeks from today," and it was crazy awesome. And then there was that one where they're like,
we're doing a
uh,
direct tomorrow.
"Third-party publisher announcement tomorrow.
Yeah,
This is June. That's it." And it's like 24 hours later, and they were like, "This is gonna be something big," and they ended with Bakugan.
yeah.
You're like, Way Forward is making an exclusive Bakugan game for the Switch, and they're like, it's Bakugan. It's Baku back. You missed it, didn't you? Hopefully, it'll be better than that.
Hopefully, I think it will be. I think it will be. But let's see. Um, with that being said, John, thank you again for joining me to talk about PlayStation. We will see you this weekend for E3.
E3.
Yeah. With that being said, have a good night, everyone. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.